Welcome to Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and every night I interview trailblazing women who share their wisdom to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. The woman you are about to meet is Naranjan Nota, coming straight to us live from Toronto, Canada. She is a spiritual life coach. Her company is called Bright Shining Light, and she's host of the podcast Master of Your Crafts. I met her recently, and she blew my mind with some of her insights and guidance about how to rise up and out where you are and boss up to be who you truly want to be. Welcome, Naranjan.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Such an honor to be here. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You said something when we first met and it blew my mind. You're like, bossing up is not an overnight destination, it's a long term journey. Can you talk about that?
Where do I begin, Elizabeth? Really? Where do we really begin? It's not I think we live in the age of instantaneous gratification. And I know we've heard about that, ever since the iPhone kind of came along and those things that really give us that immediate fulfillment that we're looking for. Often people who are on a path of self-discovery or self-journey, self-personal growth, often feel that they can get to their soul essence on a weekend retreat. Actually, really true. I've met some people like that. But the reality of it is that every single nuance, every single thought, the way that we've been raised, all have been ingrained in us into who we are. Mm-hmm. And that alone in itself takes a little bit more time to unravel and a very courageous journey to be able to do it slowly, step by step. So just like you and just like me, we're all on this path. But in the same token, I've still got a ways to go, as have you. We all have a continuous cycle of growth. So we never really get to the end destination. That's just the purpose of our life. We're here to embody what we have and learn through and live through each moment that we have.
I love that. I love that. So if someone were to come to you and hire you as their spiritual life coach, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I would talk to them about the day-to-day challenges that show up for them in life, be it a challenge in a relationship with their partner, their parents, their children, or even bigger, a challenge with the relationship with themselves. So we would unravel and unravel the elements of what that looks like and how it sits in your body from your internal dialogue, the thoughts that you have that you think nobody's really listening, but you're listening.
Right.
And when you listen, your body acts that way. So how your body acts, it takes in those words. And then it comes out through behavior of how you interact with people, others, and yourself. It'll show itself.
Wow. So it's all connected. The long-term journey of spiritual discovery and empowerment is connected to your inner thoughts. It starts there. So Naranjan, how do you coach someone? Like, what are 3 things you would teach someone to do to shift that inner thought process?
First is breathe. I know it sounds so simple. I know it sounds really easy, like I've been doing it since I was born. I get it, but not really. Let's breathe really from the diaphragm. Let's really take in the deeper breath, not shallow breathing from the chest or just from the head off shoulders, but really going in on a deeper space and allowing the body to accept and receive the oxygen and release what no longer serves you. So to breathe. And once you can breathe, then you can actually observe what's actually happening in your body from a physical aspect, but also from a mental space too. What's going on up there, right?
I ask myself that all the time. you know what? I just want to underscore the importance of what you're saying because breathing, it sounds so silly to some people, but it makes you slow down. And
Absolutely.
infusing your brain with that oxygen helps you get clarity because when we're stressed, we breathe so shallow, you
That's
know?
right.
Oh, I love what you're saying. Okay, okay, then
Thank
what?
you. Yeah. So then, so then we learn to breathe. It actually, you're right, completely right. It calms down the nervous system. So when you do often when people do a deeper breath, they actually move their posture. So they find they may stand a little taller, their shoulders may drop back. And when you do that, imagine all the nerve endings that go along our spine, which is the spinal cord. All
Yes.
those end up relaxing a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And when those relax, then your body goes, oh my gosh, she's breathing.
Uh-huh.
So from that, you breathe, your body relaxes, and your body just, I guess, kind of stops a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on a little bit of a yeah, it just slows down, which
Uh-huh.
is what we want to do. We want it to slow down in how we're feeling, maybe
Mhm.
heart palpitations, or maybe you're shallow breathing, or you're angry from an emotional interaction that just happened.
Mhm.
And then once you do that, you're also observing what's happening with your physical body, but on a mental space
Mhm.
too. What is your
Mm.
mental space saying? Is it telling you to
Mhm.
hurry up, and yeah, you know how to breathe, let's just move on with this? Or is it
Mhm.
telling you to slow down and watch what's going on in the body? So breathe,
I love that.
observe what's actually happening, and then wait, wait and listen. We're always in a
Uh-huh.
hurry to go where? Wait and allow for your body, allow for that relationship with your inner self to enhance, to
Mm.
develop that dialogue again. What is your body telling you? What is your thoughts telling you? And we can
So,
only do that when we create space. So
how do you create space though when you're in like a state of angst or anxiety or panic?
it's a courageous thing, but you're just gonna stop.
Just
You're gonna
stop.
stop. You're just gonna stop, and you're gonna go to a space where you can just be with yourself. Because often when people are in a place of anxiety or angst of some sort, there are other people and other factors that are triggering that. So
Oh.
often when you can withdraw from that, be it go to another room, take a walk outside, when you can withdraw yourself physically from that scenario,
Uh-huh.
often then you can create a little bit more separation and do that
Mm.
breathe, stop, think, and feel, right?
Ooh, I love that. Yes, yes. And then so you breathe, you stop, you separate yourself, you go to another area, you be with yourself
Yeah.
and ask what's going on up there.
Uh-huh.
I love
Uh-huh.
that. And then what do you do? Is there a mantra or some action to take?
Well, the next step I would recommend individuals to do is go to a place of
Ooh.
compassion and self-love, because we go on these emotional roller coaster rides for other people. The dog hurt itself, the kids are not well, granny's not well, or whatever the external circumstances is. How kind and compassionate are you to yourself
Mm.
for having the experience of the anxiety attack that just happened or the argument with your spouse? How compassionate are you for yourself? So go into a space and, in an essence, talking to yourself and talking to yourself like you would to your 5-year-old child who just
Mm.
got hurt.
Wow. And that would be with extreme tenderness and compassion, as you said. It would be pure love and comfort.
Absolutely.
Wow, but
Absolutely.
most of us would never stop to do that unless someone like you as a coach told us to do that. Because we'd
But it's
be,
so
you go ahead.
But it's so crucial. It's so
Uh-huh.
crucial because, like anything in life, if you don't have it in you, how can you give anything to somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
If your cup is already empty and
Mm-hmm.
you're running on empty and giving emptiness to your family and to your friends and colleagues, then how it doesn't make sense.
You
Gotta
have to,
have it within you.
so you have to fill yourself up so you can be an overflow to give to others.
Absolutely.
But most
Yeah.
of us deplete ourselves in service to others, and then we're just run ragged.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's
that's
right.
what bossing up goddess is all about. It's waking up
Right.
from that and saying, no, I need to change. And what you, as a coach, guide people to do is how to change because we don't know.
Absolutely.
We need these tools that you're
Yeah.
sharing that seem so simple,
Yeah.
yet they're so powerful, and we wouldn't think to do them on our own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the human mind loves to complicate things.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. It just does. But
Mm-hmm.
life really is very simple. If we can have self love for ourselves, and we know I want to say on a vibrational frequency level, if I can
Mm-hmm.
go there, if your audience gets that,
Mm-hmm.
what we emanate out is what we bring back, right?
Ooh.
So if we are having all this delicious love, self-compassion that we have for ourselves, that's what we're emanating out.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Wow. So how can we get more of that?
It's baby steps because,
Uh-huh.
as we said, through as we grow up into from children to young adults and adolescents and all that, so many lessons and so many experiences teach us not to um, not to show off, for the lack of better
Mm,
term, right? We're taught,
yes.
who do you think you are going to do this, that, and the other?
Right.
What? How is that even possible?
Mm-hmm.
So you get into that space, but then that's when ego kicks in. Ego is when you're operating from here. I want this kind of house, I want this kind of spouse, and this kind, all materialistic external stuff. Ego has its place because it'll drive you and it'll give you that um, pursuit. It'll give you that, it'll drive you and possibly the strength to get to those goals.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's all done from a materialistic perspective of gain for financial wealth, and there's nothing wrong having financial wealth. Trust me, it's a good thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have too much of it and it doesn't come from an authentic heart space, that's when things get challenging.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So being able to come from a place of compassion
Uh-huh.
and not the ego self.
Oh, so what does the ego self mean to you?
The ego self to me means when you're operating purely from the mind and you're
Oh.
doing it from a perspective of what's in it for me.
Oh.
That's it. What's in it for me? If I run this business deal, if I have that conversation, I do this, what am I going to get out of it?
Wow. But you know what? Givers gain, and being of service reaps infinite rewards that you can't even measure with money.
Absolutely.
So, wow. But you know what? I always joke people are tuned to WIIFM.
That's right. Absolutely.
What's in it for me? The station is
Absolutely.
always
Yeah.
broadcasting.
But that's what we've been tuned to as kids.
Uh-huh.
That's what we've
So,
always been tuned to. Even the classic example, if I can share this, sorry, is I don't know if you remember as a kid when um, you may have had a favorite toy
mhm.
and your parent or your siblings may have taken that toy away, right? And they say,
Uh-huh.
no, this is my toy now. It's not yours, it's mine. So that
Oh.
in itself is a huge example of attachment and ego. No, 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 it's mine. Or
Oh.
something to that nature where
Uh-huh.
you'd have a best friend and They would not be your best friend just in jest.
Mhm.
And you're like, no, no, that's fine. Like
Mhm.
that's fine. And that's where the
Uh-huh.
ego self comes in.
Oh, wow. So how do you learn to recognize when your ego self is taking over and how to step into that altruistic, heart-centered, compassionate self?
When you hold space for your heart to open,
Mm.
if you can be in a space to allow your heart self to to share something, and you can be open enough to receive the information that it's giving. Because
Mhm.
often when we're in ego, we're so much in the mind, we're not even listening to what's going on in the heart.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you listen to your heart?
Take a step back, take a step back and spend some time with yourself.
Like in
Spend some time with
meditation or
yourself. Even just
uh-huh.
in stillness, even if you're going for a walk in nature.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be beautiful soon anyways, right?
Mhm.
So go for a walk in nature and just that quiet time. What is the internal dialogue saying?
Mm.
What is that internal dialogue saying and what is the heart saying? Tune
Mhm.
into it. We don't even know what it's saying because we don't even tune into it.
Mhm. So can you talk about how the cosmos, the planetary placements, the season, we had the grand Jupiter trine with
Mm-hmm.
Saturn yesterday, the
Yep,
winter solstice, the
that's
age
right.
of Aquarius, the
Yeah.
great awakening. It's all happening right now. I know, isn't it awesome?
So
So
excited.
there's never been a better time to start embarking on this journey with someone like yourself as a guide to
Yeah,
learn how to explore all these new concepts and leave that heaviness and 3D thinking back in the past and step forward. There's literally a crossroads right now where you can choose
absolutely.
to stay stuck in the physical weight that's holding you down and to rise up into this new spiritual awakening and just become something you never even imagined. So, can you
Absolutely.
talk about the importance of having a guide? Because most seekers at the beginning of the journey don't really know what to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, recognize and observe that there's something happening. So, be it through the internal dialogue that we talked about that happens,
Mhm.
or how you feel. You may physically feel more agitated. You may physically feel more frustrated with what's happening in the world and the restrictions and not the restrictions and all that stuff. So, observe and watch what's happening because the emotions that you're feeling and the feelings that you're feeling are all there for a purpose to awaken you to this process. There's
Mm.
never a wrong time. Everything happens in divine time. There's
Mhm.
a purpose and there's a reason why it all happens, and it all happens for a specific reason.
Mhm.
So I would guide them on it's okay. I understand what's happening. I would provide opportunities of insight and give them tools of how to manage the physical stresses, the emotional elements, and not only from a three dimensional space of writing down things, but from an energetic space.
Mm.
Every single thing is an element of energy, right?
Mhm.
So we're
Mhm.
all energy, we all vibrate. So I would share with them certain principles and certain tools that will help them bring their energy back to themselves again.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love that. Bringing your energy back to yourself. I love that. It is really, it is. It's like discovering yourself. Who am I really? Not my
Absolutely.
name, not where I went to school, not where I live. Who am I like in spirit, which has no color, no religion, no
Yes,
national origin. It's just pure
that's
energy.
right. Absolutely. Yeah, it
Wow.
is. There is no reason. All those other filters that you kind of talked about, those are all there to learn so we can learn the lessons. So we can really
Mhm.
embody and embed it, really embody and learn from the experiences that they all trigger.
Yes. So, Naranjan, what's the promise of doing this spiritual journey work? What do you get out of it?
Well, I was going to say you get a gold watch, but
That's kind of the opposite message.
right. So what you would get out of it, you would get out of it a life that's going to give you, or a moment by moment that will allow you to experience life with more grace, with more ease, and more peace.
Ooh, that's beautiful. None of
Yeah,
which have a price tag and none of which you can buy in the store.
absolutely. Even if it's on sale, yeah,
You
right,
can't. You
right. You
cannot.
can absolutely no, but it. So the journey in itself, the way I take clients through is removing some of those layers, removing some of those bigger triggers, those traumatic experiences. I really don't care what kind of childhood you had. It doesn't matter. We've all experienced trauma. And I'm not talking about sexual abuse. I'm talking about trauma where something's really ached and pained you so profoundly, you're not ready to go there. So that's still an element of trauma. So I will walk people through on healing those experiences, because if we don't heal them, the patterns will continue to repeat themselves, right?
Yes, yes. So, how do you heal things like that? Because I know I've done it, but and I've done it on my own, but how do you help someone heal? Do you have to like open the wound and explore what it happened, or what do you do?
I don't believe in reopening wounds. I think energetically, as a where we are with the energetic world right now, we don't need to go to that space. 20
Ooh.
years ago, possibly, we may need to have had to undo those stitchings and kind of get into that. But because
Mhm,
the frequency of who we are, what we offer, and how the tools that we have as light workers and as individuals,
mhm.
we can get to those without rehashing the emotional pain.
Mm, I
We can
like
heal
that.
them in a much more graceful way.
That's really good
Yeah.
because sometimes therapy involves diving deep into things that are very painful, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have to sort of steep in it while you're figuring out how to heal it, and it's really a grueling experience. So,
Right.
I like what you're saying, how you could just heal it, release it, thank it
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
lessons that you learned and move
Absolutely.
forward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Do you find that more people are seeking spiritual guidance right now to create a whole different life than the template that society has provided for us?
I believe there's an internal dialogue going on with a lot of people. I think
Mhm.
there's still an element of fear because you're stepping into an element of the unknown. They don't really
Oh.
know what's going to happen. There's no
Mhm.
template. There's no blueprint of what that looks like. Like when we went to school, here's the test exam, here's the exam. You know what you're getting into.
Mm.
With this world, you really don't, unless
Mm.
you start talking to people like yourself and me and getting into this circle, but really trusting your intuition, trusting that gut instinct that we all have
Mhm.
of what is the right path for you and
Mm.
how and what is the best way for you to uncover your truth.
Wow. Wow. That is so powerful. The beauty of it all is just is fills you with like awe on a daily basis and revelation. And then once you open up this energy field, things just start to happen. Have you discovered
They
that?
do. Absolutely.
Why does that happen?
Because we become more aware of it.
Mhm.
We're able
Oh,
to see it.
uh-huh.
So it's like wanting to cross the street, but you still got your blinders on,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mhm.
So of course you're going to get hit. You're not
Mm.
even looking. So when you get onto the self-discovery growth journey, you have to take those blinders off. And once the
Mm.
blinders are off, then I guess call it spirit, energy, divine, and whatever is the other realms, the unseen elements of energy, then recognize that we are open to receiving and observing. And when we're
Mm.
open to receiving and observing, then things show up. And
Ooh.
then that's when synchronicities happen, and the parking spot becomes available, and
Uh-huh.
the difficult conversation that you thought was going to be difficult isn't actually difficult. It becomes much easier. So
Mm.
all those things unravel and unfold with ease. Um, so it makes life so much easier.
I love that. I love it. I think it's so important for everyone to begin a spiritual practice every day because how does someone start? Like a lot of people think you have to spend like hours meditating and doing all these extra things. How do you just start with like, say you have 20 minutes a day to allocate to this?
If you're not a meditator, I would recommend just taking some quiet time. And I don't mean sitting in stillness. You can actually go for a walk, but don't take your earbuds. Take nothing. Just take you, yourself, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
And just go for a walk in nature. Or you could be
Mhm.
washing dishes, but doing it mindfully, feeling the water, feeling the dish. When you're going for a walk, feel your foot on the ground. Feel what
Mm.
it embody the entire experience rather than
Mm.
having it go on autopilot because
Yeah.
we've been on this planet for a little bit, so we go on autopilot
All right.
and we do so many things without thinking, and that's what it is. It's bringing more thinking, I guess, to a certain degree, to
Uh-huh.
what it is you're actually doing and connecting the thinking to feeling. And when you can
Oh,
feel it, then you can go into space of heartfelt compassion and self-love.
oh my gosh. That is so powerful. When you do that, like so many unexpected joys happen in your day. Like the other day, like when you practice mindfulness and staying in the moment instead of
Mm-hmm.
being on like autopilot, like you said, I was eating lunch and suddenly I was like, wow, this is so delicious. And
Right.
suddenly I was noticing new flavors, the same thing I eat every day, but the new flavors. And I was just really savoring it. This moment is all we have. So we should enjoy each moment to the max.
Absolutely.
Mindfulness is like the best trick. It's
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah. And that does a big portion of that. That starts slowing down the nervous system because there's less
Oh.
thinking, right?
Uh-huh.
And there's more presence. There's just more being. It slows down the
Oh.
nervous system. It slows down the body. It slows down the heartbeat a little bit. Comes into a much softer rhythm. Um,
Ooh.
yeah.
That is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Naranjan, if people want to work with you, where can they find you?
They can find me at my website,
Mm-hmm.
brightshininglight.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on most social media platforms. So I'm on Instagram as Naranjan Nota. I'm on Facebook as Bright Shining Light as well. So I welcome conversations and anybody who's curious and intrigued to learn a little bit more. I do actually offer a 30-minute complimentary session with them so they can get a
Mm-hmm.
better feel and a sense to how I work
I
if they
love
want to
it.
delve into that area as well.
And where can we hear your podcast?
My podcast, Master of Your Craft, is available on most platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and probably a slew more. But I also have a website for that too, masterofyourcraft.com. So,
Oh, beautiful. Excellent. I'll put that
yeah,
in the description box so people can
awesome.
click on and visit you and learn more and get some of your amazing guidance on how to embark on a spiritual journey, which is a long-term destination, not an overnight stop.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share? I mean, we're about to wrap up one of the most difficult years most people have had, and we're embarking on a new year. which just because it's a new year doesn't mean it's going to be easier, but we're hopeful. So, what's your advice about embarking on a new year in the midst of this pandemic?
Everything happens for a reason, right? So the pandemic of 2020 has challenged us all to the edge to really lean into who we are and maybe uncover some uneasinesses that have shown up or reared their ugly head that we didn't really expect.
Mm-hmm.
So they all show up for a reason. Like I said earlier, everything happens in divine time. So rather than having a negative connotation to what happened this year, moving it forward to what has this year taught me and how can I use those skills and those insights to move me forward to not a newer version, because we're always evolving. A new year could be a new day. Just because the numbers, the digits don't change on the back end, right?
Yeah.
It's still a new moment. It's a new day. It just depends on your perspective of it. So I guess one of the elements would be, don't wait for that big epiphany moment of 111 to make that change. Make the change tomorrow.
I love that. That's so powerful because it's your,
Tomorrow.
yes, yes. Excellent. Naranjan, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and guidance that helps us all. That's awesome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This was lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love talking with you. It's so
You too.
insightful. Yeah, I learn
Yeah,
something every time we talk.
I love it. Me too.
Thank
Me
you.
too. Thank you very
And
much.
you're welcome. And thank you, all of you, for watching Boss Up Goddess, where I get to interview amazing women like Naranjan Nota, spiritual intuitive life coach, who tells us how we can embark on a life journey with spirituality and practices that enable us to live bigger, better, and bolder. Thank you again for watching. And if you're getting value out of this program, please do like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell so you'll know every time I go live or upload a new video. So, meanwhile, boss up, goddess, and remember, you have the power. I'll see you next time.